Hello, hello, Texas Teacher here once again. Now, anybody that has watched my channel for any length of time knows I love FPS games. Overwatch is still one of my favorites. Call of Duty, anything in that series right now except for Ghost, which I didn't care for. So sometimes you need a break from something like that. FPS games are just fast, frantic action. And so I was looking for something to kind of break that up a little bit. Something with a story, something where you could do a lot of stuff. And I found it in my first game review of 2017, Final Fantasy 15. Now let's go ahead and start with the cover itself. Now, I like it because it's got that shiny. This is the Day 1 edition. It's very shiny, pretty. But it's also got the reversible cover with the kind of classic Final Fantasy text with the picture in the background. Now, I've got to say, I have not played a Final Fantasy game since one of my least favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy X2, which was a decent sequel, but not that great of a game. As I was able to win the game with a very big exploit. I was able to find a accessory that made every attack, and I was able to do like 20 attacks a turn. Every attack did 9,999. So wasn't that difficult of a game, and really didn't care for it. Now, first thing I'm going to say about this is when you put the game in, everything's loaded. On the screen it says a Final Fantasy game for first-timers and fans. I love that. This is a game where it's not like, people kind of get nervous when they see numbers after a game, like, for example, Titanfall 2. About, oh, well, should I play Titanfall 1 first before I play Titanfall 2? And the answer is that actually, Titanfall 1 never had a story. Final Fantasy games are not that linked except for Final Fantasy X and X-2. So this one's a great starting off point if you've never played a Final Fantasy game. I will say, if you've never played a Final Fantasy game, this game is going to be a very different experience for you than it is for people like me who've played a Final Fantasy game in the past, like I played 7 and I played 10. Excuse me. For example, combat system. In the Final Fantasies I'm used to, it's turn-based. They attack, you attack. They attack, you attack. They attack, you attack. This is not that. This is an open sandbox where you can dodge attacks, you can come around behind them, you can start cutting into them. You've got magic, you've got different weapons at your disposal that you can switch to pretty freely in battle. And I like that. It throws in a lot more strategic elements. You've got, at this point of the game that I'm at, I'm probably 5 hours in. So that's nothing for a Final Fantasy game, which I fully intend to spend probably 60, 70 hours at least on this game. And that's at least. There's actually been some stuff I've come across that might make me spend more, but we'll get to that later on in the video. I've got access to fire, broadswords, two-handed swords, which I was actually wrong in one of my previous videos. I thought the deluxe edition came with the Masamune. However, I was wrong. It is this version. I'm covering up the code. I really don't know why, considering I've already used it. So, I've got the Masamune. A little nice two-handed katana. It is huge. But then again, so are the people you're fighting for the most part. Thus far, I haven't really fleshed out the story yet. You've got a prince who, at the point I'm at, is going to marry a princess of another country to kind of strengthen the alliance between the two of them against an empire that kind of threatens to destroy everything. So, kind of tradition. Country versus another, etc. Now, as far as different stuff that comes in here with it, you've got a nice little... This is one thing I've liked that a lot of companies are starting to do. This is a thank you for your support from the team that developed Final Fantasy 15. You got a bunch of signatures and stuff like that. You've got your main characters on the back, and nice little front. I mean, I really like this. This is something that I'm going to keep. It's kind of like some of the art book and stuff like that came with No Man's Sky for me. Now, as far as it's some good stuff, and then they're shilling another. This is Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age. I have to admit, like I said, I've never played a Final Fantasy game other than 7, 10, 10-2, and now this. So, and then they're also shilling World of Final Fantasy. Never played either one of them. Probably never will. Let's get to the team. Now, as you're traveling, you're in a very souped-up car. Now, let me go ahead and say the driving in this game is not that, doesn't handle as great as I would hope it would. To me, it's very reminiscent of Grand Theft Auto 4. And to be honest, it kind of steers like a boat. You don't have to worry about it, though, as you can have one of your teammates drive if you don't want to. The monsters, supposed to be demons. They come out a lot more at night, so at night they really give you encouragements to camp or to set up, or it's a great time to train up if you want to train up. But honestly, I've not done it yet, and from the stories I've heard, I wouldn't recommend it. I have always camped at night. The food aspect is very entertaining to me because every time you camp, your partner, teammate, Ignis, cooks. The food looks freaking realistic. Even with stuff like chocobos and the different fish. There's one fish I keep catching that's an electric fish. Oh yeah, by the way, you can fish. And it's very realistic. There's tension on the rod. You have to move the rod to keep the line from snapping. And your line, over time, wears down and you have to replace it. I love that feature. Final Fantasy 15 created the fishing game I didn't know I wanted. You've got one partner that keeps, or the food, you can go to different places, you can get recipes. I got a recipe just from talking to somebody, and they were talking about fish and oil, and then something else, and the guy's all of a sudden, I got a new recipe. Let's try it out. And he tells you basically what ingredients to get. You can pick up ingredients at different places. It is fun. Yeah, you can stay at an inn. You can have somebody else cook for you. But truth be told, it's not as fun as gathering ingredients as you're traveling and doing it yourself. I freaking love this game so far. Maybe something will happen that will change that. I highly doubt it. I mean, cooking and fishing simulator for the win. The driving is a little monotonous sometimes, but to be honest, I still like it. Because it's an aspect I didn't know I wanted in a Final Fantasy game that now I can't imagine not having. The day-night cycles. I love that. You play Final Fantasy X, it turns out when the story means it to turn night. It's not like you're walking all of a sudden, oh, it's dark. No. There's only certain areas you ever got to see night versus day. You had the Thunder Plains or whatever where you had to worry about getting struck by lightning. That's about it. 10-2, same thing. I don't know if other Final Fantasy games have started having a day-night cycle. If they have, let me know in the comments. But this game does, and I like it. The magic system's a little bit different than what I'm used to. You have to collect points from rocks. And you can kind of tell which element of rock is supposed to be. If it's got fire coming from it, it's a fire magic rock. If it's got lightning coming from it, it's a thunder magic rock. And there's ice. So, and then you create your spells using those points, and you can use those in combat for a certain number. I like that. It almost makes magic a inventory item. There are side quests, and I definitely encourage those. There are, of course, your story missions, and I'm meeting random people that I have a feeling are going to have a large effect on my game. I've already met Cid, and for anybody who's a fan of Final Fantasies, you know that Cid is a character that keeps showing up in Final Fantasy in different forms. And in this one, he is a auto mechanic that you run into basically the first thing you do because your car breaks down and you have to push it. Oh, also, Another little thing with the car, it runs out of gas. So yeah, you got to keep an eye on your gas gauge. And it doesn't move very fast. And I have to say, if it was a car in real life, let's just say its miles per gallon would suck. I think I've gone 3 or 4 miles and I emptied over a quarter of a tank of gas. Holy crap. EOS, get with the miles per gallon. Maybe that's something you can fix later on. You can modify the car. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Sorry, I keep bumping the table that I've got my camera and everything on. So, whatever. Sorry. But I have to say, I very much, if you're looking for story, if you're looking for stuff to do, to be honest, this is my Witcher 3 right now. I played Witcher 3 as a way to get away from FPSs for a little bit, to kind of recharge my batteries and enjoy them again. And I beat it. And it's something I've never featured on my channel. I've never featured Witcher 3. And I love that game. And one day I might do a playthrough. It will be an incredibly long playthrough, as anybody that's ever played The Witcher 3 knows. But this one I will do a few videos in. I may do a fishing tutorial. I may do something about cooking. I may do something about just driving around and hunting stuff, as you can be a bounty hunter and hunt monsters. But I love this game, and it provides a nice bit of a breakup from the monotony of FPSs for me. One thing I will say, your experience. This is one of the things I'm going to nitpick just a little bit. At the end of a battle, in any previous Final Fantasy game, your experience levels you up. That is not the case in this. Your experience is held in like a bank type thing until you camp. So yeah, you may have 600,000 experience saved up from beating monsters. You might not have that in your level though. So you go charging into the next battle and you're not ready for it. You can, other than that, it's pretty typical Final Fantasy. You can upgrade your equipment, you can upgrade your accessories, etc. But make sure you use your experience and actually camp. I will go ahead and say that. That's my one bit of advice. Now, thus far in the game, it's kind of difficult for money-wise. So I'm probably about to start selling some stuff that I don't need anymore. Like, for example, I've got one that's, if you know why it would be a thing, tell me. It's something I downloaded. It's called the Nixperience Bangle or something like that, where your team does not get experience. Now, I don't know why you would not want experience. If you know, tell me in the comments. Because it is something I picked up. And speaking of which, right now on PlayStation Plus, I know I've got PlayStation Plus, so I know that that's part of the thing. They do have a holiday pack for Final Fantasy 15 that includes like the Nixperience Bangle and stuff like that, but it says it also includes tickets to a carnival that will be held sometime here in the month of January. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that's about. But I'm really recommending this game right now. And if anything changes, if anything turns sour, I will let you know in another video. But for right now, with everything this game has, I could not recommend it more. Now, if you've got any other questions about the game, feel free to ask them in the comments. I will do my best to either respond. If I get enough of them, I'll do another video kind of, outlining everything. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I am always the Texas Teacher, and class is dismissed. Have a great day.